Coming up today on That LTD Life, we're going to be taking a look at a brand new deal over on AppSumo that's going to allow you to do email marketing, marketing automation, as well as transactional emails. It's called Tarvent, and here it is right over here. Now, as you can see, it's Monday, or actually Tuesday because of the holiday, and AppSumo has just rolled out all of their new deals for the week. There's a few that I want to call attention to that I likely will not have time to create reviews for, but I think are important for the AppSumo hardcore fans to acknowledge that are back on AppSumo. One of them is SuiteDash. This is a very dense, complicated application. I would like to create some material for it, but it's only going to be available for 15 days. And honestly, by the time I go through that entire application, half of that time is going to be up. It would be dedicating the next week to creating SuiteDash content. It does so much. Like, I'm not kidding. Here is a feature list of everything that SuiteDash does. It's got 100% white labeled. You can use your own URL, client portals, CRM, deal pipelines, proposals, signing, integrated form builder, project and task management, file sharing. It just goes on and on. There's an LMS. You can do support tickets, time tracking, email and drip marketing. They have a calendar. My gosh, it keeps going on and on. So I'd love to create, maybe 100 videos about SuiteDash if there was the opportunity to do so, but there's not. So this is my PSA. Check out SuiteDash if you're looking for, a application to kind of run your entire business. My one pro tip if you're buying SuiteDash is to go down to the plans and pricing here and check this out. There's a few kind of sweet spots. I'll call attention to one here. If I go up to tier 5, check this out. Basically, it looks like we're going to get, 100 gigs of storage per code that we buy. But if we go from 5 codes up to 6 codes, it doubles to a terabyte. Look at the staff. That goes up really, really quickly as well. On code 5, we get 20 staff. On code 6, we get more than double, 50 staff. So if you're really invested in this platform and you want to make it work, code 6 or 6 codes is kind of the tier that you want to get to. Of course, if you're just all in, you can get 10 codes, which give you unlimited staff members and 2 terabytes of storage. But we're spending a lot more money at this point. So the real sweet spot, like I mentioned, tier 6. The other popular deal that I want to call attention to, which is also ending in less than 2 weeks as of the recording of this video, is Viloud. This will allow you to create your own TV station or live streaming station on the internet. This is a really interesting deal that's full of some complex terminology and acronyms. I'll just help you understand it real quick here. And if you're not interested in Viloud and you just want to get to the other deal, I've got some chapter markers down below. By the way, there are links for everything that I'm talking about here in the description. If you click on those, it helps me out. This video is not sponsored in any way. So if you want to throw me a bone and allow me to keep making more videos like this, definitely check out my links in the description. And thank you to everybody who has been clicking them. Okay, so just a few things on the Viloud deal. For the tier 1 and tier 2, you get the business plan features, but as soon as you go up to tier 3, you get the premium plan features. And I'm going to help you understand what these things actually are. So on the surface, tier 1, we get 3 websites, 5 channels, 300 storage minutes. So that is going to be how much content we can store to play back on our channel, and then 10,000 streaming minutes per month. So if you have a pretty small audience, this could work for you, but it's really not that hard to get 10,000 streaming minutes per month. Go up to the double plan, we basically get double of everything except the number of websites. That stays steady at 3 websites. Things get very interesting at 3 codes over here, where we get some new features introduced. Of course, our limits go up. Now we get 10 websites and unlimited channels, but we get this right here, M3U8 output links. These are essentially player links, where you could use this to build an app around it for something like a Roku or an Apple TV. You also get ad monetization, so you'll be able to inject ads into your content. This is all part of the premium plan. In fact, that's really the only difference between the business plan and the premium plan, is that we get those 2 features. Just to be clear, that does not mean you'll have an app on the App Store if you buy that plan. You still need to develop it. It's going to cost some money. Nothing's free in this world, right? So just know that if you want those features, even just to open up your channel on something like VLC inside of a smart TV, you'll need to use an M3U8 output link. Now, if you really want to go all in and create your own video platform, go to tier 10, which unlocks a few other pretty cool features. First of all, simultaneous live feeds. You could broadcast sports or news or whatever you want to do, maybe in your local area, maybe on your niche. If you have maybe you're into gaming in some weird game, you could broadcast competitions for it. whatever. You can probably think of your own use case. But the really interesting thing right here is you get one fast channel. Now, what's a fast channel? It doesn't just go quickly. FAST stands for free advertising supported television. So the idea here is something like the Roku channel, I think, is a pretty good example where anyone can go to Roku and just watch the content. It's completely free. You don't have to sign up for anything. They don't ask for your email address, nothing. They just support it with ads. And, based on everything I've said here, you could do that with any of the other plans too. But what is different is that when we go to tier 10, we get access to these tools, which are SCTE 35 ad markers. So this is a special way for broadcast television to inject ads into their content. And that's what you're going to want when you go after the big advertising dollars. And then we also have EPG guides, which are on-screen programming guides. That's exactly what it stands for. I think it's even electronic programming guide, so that people can flip through different channels and see what's upcoming, see what's playing at the moment. So that is Viloud and SuiteDash, two other deals that are going to be available for just a short period of time on AppSumo. Go ahead and check them out again with the link in the description if you want to grab them. All right, now onward to our full review. So here is Tarvent over on AppSumo. It's an email marketing tool. It lets you do, it says email marketing, marketing automation, and transactional email with an all-in-one platform. The interface in the screenshot looks pretty good, kind of a dark mode look. I have not used it yet, so let's go ahead and look at the plans and pricing. Tier 1 starts at just $69. We're going to get unlimited campaigns and email automations, 1,000 contacts, just one user, and a gigabyte of hosting storage. Also, they're going to store our data for just 90 days. That will also apply to tier 2. We get the 90 days. However, our limits are now increased to be a lot more generous, I would say. We get 3 times the contacts, 5 times the users, and twice as much file hosting. If you want to connect up to another service via API, so maybe you have an app or some software and you want to send transactional emails through the service, you will need at least tier 3, which gives you 1,000 email API credits per month. And you can scale this up. Here is tier 4. And here is tier 5, giving you 10,000 credits per month. Another thing to note is that tier 3 and above give you 180 days of event data storage. So if you want to have a longer track record of the events on your platform, then go up to tier 3. I'm going to go with tier 1 here and get started and try it out. I think it's a good time to mention that this video is not sponsored. I am trying out the tool with my own money. So let me go ahead and check out here. I do have AppSumo Plus, so I'm saving 10%, gives me about $7 off the price of this tool. I'm going to go ahead and activate. This is one of those newfangled, digital activations, no code to copy and paste. And here is the onboarding screen. Let me go ahead and set up my account. I need to send a one-time password. This is the ultimate test for any email application. Can they hit the inbox with the initial password? And they can, because my mail application is auto-filling it. People wonder why I use Safari. That is why I use Safari. All right, I'm going to agree to their terms of service and go to the next screen. It says, please wait while we process your information. Nice little animation here, and we've got a survey. I love onboarding surveys. All right, it looks like there are 7 steps. I'm hoping they're not just questions about who I am. Just gotta say, this is not a good look. Like, it's not the best thing to do when someone's just trying to use your software. They're excited about your tool, and then you want to find out who they are. All right, moving on to step 4. Now they want to get to know me. So it's not like I care that they have a survey, but make it optional and let me use the tool first before I decide to give you free information. All right, I am on to step 6 now. It says they're creating my stuff here, building the sign up, unsubscribe forms. See, I'm kind of salty already. I'll admit it. I'm salty. They wasted my time. All right, we're going to create a domain here. It's going to be using their domain, it looks like. I definitely don't want to use their domain, but that's the example they gave me. So I'm going to go tarvent.clientamp.com and see if I can use my own custom domain. This is what we're going to be sending from, so it's important that it is real. All right, that's no problem. I just need to add these records over to Cloudflare. I will do this. I'm going to use my paste stack, which comes from the Paste app on Mac. I've talked about this on my set app video before. I really like this tool. I can go ahead and very quickly grab all of these records. I don't need the name, but I do need to grab the different values and host names and all of that. Okay, so overall, it looks like there's 3 records they want me to add. And I'm over on Cloudflare. This is where I manage DNS. I'm going to add, believe it was 2 CNAME records. So the first one I'll do CNAME, paste in everything here, turn off the proxy status and hit save. And then I'll add another CNAME record in, turn off the proxy status again. And then the last one I think was a text record. So I'll change it to type text, paste everything in, and hit save. All right, so back over in Tarvent, now that I've added that via Cloudflare, if you're following along and trying to do what I'm doing, you do this wherever you got your domain if you're not using Cloudflare or another DNS manager like DNS Made Easy. If you're doing something like shared hosting, maybe you have everything over on SiteGround or a platform like that, you would just add those same records in over there. So I'm going to check again, make sure that these have gone through. It looks like I've got the last two, but the first one hasn't gone. Let me check one more time. And sure enough, there we are. Okay, let's move along to step 7, which is to watch a video. Looks like it's about a 4-minute video. I'm going to wing it. I've watched enough of these videos. I don't think I need to watch the tutorial, but those words may come back to bite me. All right, so we're going to go to Tarvent finally. Oh, good, an onboarding checklist. So it says, first we want to review our data, fields, and forms, send a campaign, configure our sending domain, which was already done in the last onboarding sequence. We need to start our journey, get familiar with the library, and create a template. All right, let's not show that again, and let's get right into it. And yes, I do want to get started. There's another wizard. What is going on? I can switch between themes. There's navigation. There's a search bar. I have an account. There's a dashboard with widgets. And there's something called the Tarvent map. Okay, that might be the only thing you need to call out. What is this? A clickable bird's eye view of how Tarvent is organized. Learn about various components and how they work together. Looks like it's kind of a sideways menu. And then we've got some more widgets. We can add widgets with the plus button. Okay. Is there gonna be another tutorial? Okay, I can use it. All right, I want to see what this is. All right, pick up where you left off is what that says. And there's nothing there right now. Oh, and then I minimized it and it did something different. That's weird. All right, this is very strange. As someone who's very interested in usability and user experience, I'm trying to comprehend these disclosure triangles. So I can collapse or expand them. And when I expand the other one, it fills up it minimizes this way. Boy. All right, let's get to the tool. That's weird though. All right, left-hand sidebar, pretty straightforward. We've got our audience. We can upload our contacts here. You gotta be kidding me. So let's start with the most obvious thing, which is to add a contact to our audience, which I've called my list. So essentially here we've got contacts, groups, and segments. And I'm gonna do my best to explain to you the difference between all of these things. So our contacts are obviously people. We're gonna add a new person over here by hitting the plus button. I can just fill out information. I'm gonna put in my email address as well as my first and last name. You could fill this out with your street address and your time zone, any other info you want to add. At the same time I'm creating the contact, I can manually add someone to something called a group. A group is a static collection of people. You can think of it like a list, right? So perhaps I was wrong in calling this my list. I should have called it my audience. And then inside of that, we can have groups, which are really like lists. And I'll add a new group over here and hit new group, and I'll just give it a name like test group, and then I'm good to go. I can just hit add, and my group has been created, and I've been added into that group. I'll go back and hit add here. Now, one thing I want to point out about this interface is that I think they could have just used the entire screen a little bit better and not use these tabs at the top, because for me, it kind of feels like, well, is this information going to go away when I click over here? Is this something different altogether? So we've got a lot of screen real estate. I think we could utilize that a little bit better, but that's just a user experience type of thing. But I'm gonna hit add here because that is actually how it works. They're related. And here's my new contact. And I can click on the contact and see all of the information that I have about that contact, as well as the fact that I am in the test group. There's also activity and notes down here, so I can maybe make some internal notes about a particular contact or see any replies that they've sent, goals and conversions. There's a lot of info here. This is a really nice, I like how much detail they've put into this. I think the design could be improved for sure, but overall, all of the info I'd want to see in this type of scenario is present there. All right, so we have contacts. Those are people. They can be put into groups, but perhaps more importantly, we have segments. Now, segments are living, breathing groups, essentially. So a segment, you don't need to place someone in manually. Instead, people will automatically be filled into segments if they meet certain criteria. So let's create a new segment here, and I'll call it Client Amp. Now, anyone who has a Client Amp email address will automatically be added into the group. Now, I can set this up by using their filters down here. So I'll say email contains and clientamp.com. Now, this is an actual use case that could be very beneficial to you, regardless of what email marketing platform you're using. For example, Hotmail, Outlook, all of the Microsoft properties are notoriously difficult to hit the inbox in, especially if your account is less than stellar or not the most established sending. So what you can do is create a segment of those Microsoft contacts and send to them last. Hit everybody else, hit your most engaged people first, and then at the end, after you've had enough feedback from the other email service providers, then send to your Microsoft accounts, and you'll have more reputation built up and have a better chance of hitting that inbox. It's not going to work 100% of the time. There's other tricks you'll need to do, but I think you would see that that improves things. So you could create a segment here, and then when you send out a campaign or an email, you could just schedule it manually to go out to all of the Microsoft properties maybe a day later. For now, I'm going to create my segment here, and I expect that my contact, there it is, has been added into it. So perfect. That's exactly what I expected. And I do have some stats up here. I've got 1 member of this segment, 0 pending, 0 undeliverable, so on and so forth. Now I can create a campaign at any point here by just clicking this button to send the campaign, or there's also this paper airplane up here, which also means send campaign. There's a trash can at the top as well. If I click that, it literally just deletes the whole audience. So it's, they confirm you've got to type delete, but it's pretty easy to just get rid of all of your data if that's what you want to do. You're in a hurry and you need to delete your spam list or something, the feds are coming. You can easily hit the trash can, get them gone. Oh, that's a joke. Jokes, people. All right, I'm excited to check out the campaign builder here. I have seen screenshots of their builder, like their email builder. It looks really nice, but let's continue through our view of the audience right here. I'm just gonna rename this. Let's call it My Audience. Should have went through their tutorials. All right, so I'm under forms, and I've got a few forms just built by default. We've got an unsubscribe form, a subscribe form, profile update, and forward to a friend form. So I think the idea here is obviously you can include these links to these in your email, like, oh, I want someone to be able to easily share my email campaign with their friend. So I've got this form I can embed, and I click on this and it just loads up the form, and you see what it looks like over here. We've got a name, email address, a note to your friend, and then your information. And it's a little preview of the email that's being sent. Kind of a nice touch. I'd say the design is not like overwhelmingly beautiful, but it looks pretty good. The appearance isn't so much that it's like going to detract. It's just, the little bit tight on the spacing, I think. This is our first glance at the builder here, and I do think it looks pretty good. We can add in some more content over here. These are the different elements we have. We can also add rows. These are just basically like wireframes where you can add those elements in. Then there's some other options over here on the left-hand sidebar. There's a link section where it will check your links to see if they're valid. We have a checklist to go through before you send an email out. Now, this is not an email, it's a form, but it says has form elements, is accessible, and is mobile compatible. And then we've got reports here where we can see actually who's engaging with the form itself. And even here, we can print and share or export the data from our report. So very full featured so far. So after forms, we have data fields. These are essentially like custom fields. So when you're getting someone to sign up, you can gather more information about them. So let's say I wanted to get someone's phone number. That'd be a custom field I could add. I'll just hit the plus button over here, say phone, and I'll set the data type to phone number, and it'll actually validate. And I can either mark this required if I want, or leave it unchecked, probably what I recommend, and then hit add. And now I've got my own custom field here along with the standard fields. There are merge tags for everything. So if I wanted to use their phone number in an email or their email address, their first name, I just copy this and I can use it inside of the email builder to say like, hey, John, and use this merge tag instead of saying John or manually typing a message to everyone. All right, a few more features here. We've got imports and exports. So rather than adding everyone manually with a plus button, of course, we can import people. Hit the plus button over here and you can upload your CSV file. We've got a few options here. We've got CSV, tab delimited, semicolon, and pipe. I'm not really sure what pipe is, honestly, but you can also just paste text in if you want to do it that way. And we can even connect them up to groups upon import. Notice there's no option to select a segment upon import because segments are populated dynamically based on the criteria you set up when you create the segment. Here is the export section. It looks very similar to the import. I can create a new export over here by just choosing the source, like the entire audience or maybe selected groups or segments, and then I can export them maybe to validate your email list. You want to export it and import it to find out which emails have gone bad. It's pretty good behavior to do that every quarter to 6 months or so. And finally, over here under settings, we have all the information I filled in during the onboarding sequence, like our sending email address, or actually physical mail address here. That's required for, the Canned Spam Act to include, and GDPR to include the address in the footer. I definitely recommend using a service like Traveling Mailbox to get a nice address. That's where this one comes from. So that when you send out your marketing messages, you don't have to put your home address if you're not, everyone works from home. If your company doesn't have an actual physical location, well, use Traveling Mailbox. I've got a video I made many years ago, but it still stands up. I use that service every single day. All right, there are a ton of features here. I'm not gonna be able to go into every single one of them. What I'm gonna do is hit upon the campaigns. Let's check this out. I'll go to campaigns, and I've got another little guide to go through. I'm gonna try not to overreact here. We've got our views, we've got our new items. Yeah, I can read.
6.5 hours later.
All right, I finally made it out of the wizard. Here we go. I'm gonna create a new campaign. This is what I'm most excited about. I can select the type of campaign I'd like to create. A standard campaign using their drag and drop builder. I can use an RSS feed to generate content for the campaign. That's cool. We can also use HTML markup. This is great if you're using a service like befree.io, which is a great place to go for email templates. You'll be able to export those as HTML and then just copy and paste them right into Tarvent. We can do plain text if you don't do any of that fancy HTML stuff. And there's AMP markup as well. I think everyone has, people have abandoned AMP, right? I mean, I don't know. Leave me a comment down below if you're using AMP. There's also the option for a multivariant campaign, which is going to allow us to test different things. So essentially A/B testing, we can enable this and then choose any of these options. So I'll leave that on for now. To begin, let's just do a standard campaign. All right, so overall, pretty nice experience here. The first thing they show me is a template selector. Now these are all just basically wireframes. They're not very beautiful looking, but that's okay with me. They didn't add any placeholder images. Honestly, I find that a little bit easier for me to work with rather than it being like styled absolutely beautifully to some imaginary brand. I'm sure people like that, and that's why companies do it, but I think this looks pretty good. So I'll just use weekly newsletter here. I'll give the campaign name test, set the audience to be my audience. And here is what the template's going to look like. Oh, it does say your audience must have at least 20 contacts for a multivariant campaign. So I'll turn that feature off for now. Backing out, turning it off, back to the weekly newsletter. And now we can add the template into our builder. Pops open here after loading. Pretty snappy interface. There are those little loading animations that come up every so often that just kind of hold you back a little bit. Things don't load like instantly, but it's not a long delay either. Here's another wizard. All right, so we've got our editor here. It looks like there is AI built in. That's cool. There's merge tags. We can grab any of those merge tags I mentioned before. So what I do is maybe like contact, and then I can choose any of the merge tags. And is my phone number one on here? Custom field phone. Yep, sure it is. And I can set a default value. So if I don't have a phone number for that contact, it can replace it with something else. Would work better for something like a first name, like, hey, buddy. All right, so a little bit of a weird layout here. Like the important stuff is all over here on the left-hand sidebar, the from and subject line. And we also get pre-header text. I like that. That's going to give you the preview. So let me add some information in here. All right, so I've got my subject line all filled out here. A few things I want to point out. They are making me send from the tarvent.client amp domain. Remember, that's the one I set up at the beginning of the video. So if you want to send from your root domain, I guess you should set that up as the sending domain. It's not uncommon to use. These things are not exclusive, is what I'm trying to say. You can set up the send to be different than the from name. Those are different things inside of email. Without digressing to a lot of technical things here, they don't need to be aligned. You will not impact your deliverability if you have a subdomain. But in this case, I don't see a way to change that. So I'd have to actually add in a different domain here and then probably authenticate it. Well, let's try. I'll just add in clientamp.com. Yeah, and they want me to authenticate it again, which I should not need to do. All right, so for now, we'll just look past that, set up your root domain for sending, and that'll be what you want to do. Okay, I've got my subject line here. I've got my pre-header text. Now there's something that says inbox preview. I'm excited by this. This looks cool. Let's expand it. And now we can see what it's going to look like on the inbox of Gmail, Outlook, as well as iCloud Mail. Really cool. So we can see how much of the message actually shows up. So a lot of people will make very, very long subject lines. Okay, so I updated my subject line to be a lot longer, and here's what they're saying it looks like on Gmail, Outlook, and iCloud. I can still read this entire subject line, and I will tell you this is not a good preview. I like the concept, but it is not executed there. Character lengths are far too long. Just trust me on that. I think just open up your email on your phone. How long is the longest subject line you see on your mail? For me, it's about 5 words. That's all you can get. Okay, so cool concept here, poor execution. I'm gonna save this and we'll proceed. All right, so I've got my wireframe here and I'm ready to start adding in my own content. Now, the first thing I notice is that the section up here that says your logo is actually a text field, whereas these other ones are image fields. So if I wanted to, swap this out for an image, I could just easily do that over here. But where it says your logo, well, I have to actually, as far as I can tell, add in another image block here, which I can do by clicking add, grabbing the image block, and then dropping it in. But that replaces the text block, so I'd probably just delete this and upload the image from there. So a little bit weird. So the editor feels pretty good to me, but I'm a little bit more on the technical side of things. If you've ever built a website with a page builder, something like Elementor, you'll probably feel quite at home. Now, it's important to note that emails are very different than websites, just how they're created. They still use tables for emails, so it's not exactly the same thing, but it is very similar in a lot of respects. So like if I wanted to add some background color, I could select an area and add some padding. And often on like these sections, there's going to be additional areas for more styling to be added in. So it's a little bit of a nerdy experience. If you're coming to this, expecting more of a word processor type experience, it's not really there. For that, I'd still recommend a platform like Ghost, which is great for writing newsletters, but also doesn't have drip sequences and email marketing. But the editor on Ghost is really good for emails. Now, you remember when we were looking at the forms before, we have this link checker in here. So let me just add a broken link in. I'll select this text, press Command K to be able to insert a link. And let's just make a broken link. I'll do goog.co. All right, that's a broken link, right? We'll insert that, and there we go. I'm gonna click over here to links, and it looks like it found this one as broken, right? Very, very nice. I like this feature. Super simple. Why have I not seen this on another application before? Now notice it's going to track all of these links so that after I send out the campaign, I'll be able to find out how many people clicked on each link. And maybe if they end up making a purchase, I will get that data back as well. So very nice feature. If you don't want to track links, just go to the settings option over here and you can turn off clicks, opens, location, and site enable tracking, which is going to track people when they're actually on your website. Okay, the last option here is the checklist. Let's see what's on our checklist. Oh, this is nice. This is kind of like what you'll see if you go to something like mailtester.com. After you send out your message, it'll tell you, how your email stacks up. And so our subject line is good, except it's a little bit long. It tells us that. Our from information exists, but the domain name is not verified. That's also good to know. Share settings, images don't exist, titles don't exist, and descriptions don't exist. So we've got some work to do there. And we can also click here to preview our content. All right, I like that feature. These are, although my content didn't show up, it says variation 1. Some very nice features here, some good ideas that should be implemented into other platforms. But some of the other stuff is leaving a little bit to be desired, if I'm totally honest. Like, I love the checklist. I love the idea of a link checker built right in. However, some of their other ideas, like this preview right here, that wasn't implemented in a way that was actually helpful. But it's a good idea. It shows they're thinking outside the box a little bit. All right, I'm getting out of the campaign mode here. I'm going to continue without saving. We're going to check out a few of their other features here. We won't go deep here. Journeys are their marketing automation features. So we could really call this automations, and that would be just fine as well. We can click on new journey right over here, and you can see the types of journeys that we can create. So a birthday or a special date, re-engagement. There's going to be things like custom event notifications, email forwarding incentives. So that's great. If you have an email newsletter, you can incentivize people to send that email to other places. So yeah, let's just grab one of these. We'll see what it looks like. Email social sharing trigger. This is what the journey looks like. Again, let me use my full screen here. I don't want to have to zoom in or zoom out for this. Just, I've got a large screen. This is weird because I can't see the whole thing at once, and there's only 3 steps. But the point of this automation is to give your contacts a reason to share a campaign on social media. And when your contact shares a campaign, this journey will send them an email with something valuable to them. It could be a coupon, an ebook, or an exclusive content. So that's a cool idea. I can give it a name, assign it to an audience, and then I can set a limit of having it only run once or multiple times. I'll leave it at once. Add over here, and now I can actually see the whole campaign and I can edit it. So the trigger is someone sharing the email on social media. Then it's going to take this action over here of sending an email, and we can see all of the actions that we can take. It can be an optimized email, a site notification, a send notification, and then you can edit the actual message that's sent right over there. Just pops open the editor. Again, this lagging just a little bit more than I'd like. Looks like there's a checkbox up here. Okay, this one's not loading. Let's go back to the journey. All right, so we'll have to move past that. Let's look at some of the other features. So it says, when should we send this message? Immediately or at a specific time? So if I choose at a specific time, it's going to literally be a specific time, not like 2 hours later after the action takes place. There's time jumper, and with time jumper enabled, we will send the campaign to recipients at the specific time in their own time zone. So you probably want to check that. That's again, another nice feature. Like, okay, we want to send it to them at 9 a.m. in their own time zone. Wouldn't that be great? And you can do that, set it to 9 a.m. and use their time jumper function. And there you go. Really nice. But I'd rather just have it send out like an hour later or something like that. Let's see, is there a delay? There might be a delay option. Let's hit the plus. Here are all of the actions we can take. We can unsubscribe someone, add tags, add groups, remove groups. There's goals, there's webhooks. There's wait. All right, so this is under flow. That's what you want to do for that delay. So then I can just move this. Whoop, I'll grab the handles here, select this, grab the handles. You can move it before. Nope. Let's move it after. Nope. Well, do these handles do anything? All right, so I'm struggling with that. All right, let's check out landing pages. We can actually create a landing page here. I'll go ahead and create a new one. And here's kind of what it looks like. I'll give it a name. Mobile responsive. The emails are mobile responsive as well. Remember, that was on the checklist, so that's really cool. All right, here it is. This is my landing page. I mean, this isn't good enough. I'll just say that. This doesn't look nice enough to be, like let's start a new landing page, and this is what they give us to start from. It kind of looks like a pop-up, doesn't it? Because it just has the one header section here. I can preview it online. There we go. It actually looks way bigger online. So it's probably using, something like CSS Grid or Flex or something to fill out the pages. There's a preview button right here. I just click this and it says it's taking longer than expected. I can go through different views, but again, it's not loading. I'm going to just manually reload. Hopefully it doesn't break anything. All right, so I stayed in the landing page builder. That's good. I'm going to hit preview again, and longer than expected. It does have the link section. It does have the checklist, so you can go through and make sure you haven't screwed anything up. I think those are really cool. Should be built into every landing page builder you find. All right, so I'm gonna start to wrap this up. We also get surveys, and there's a library over here where you can upload files and things you want to, send as deliverables inside of your marketing campaigns. Overall, this is what I have to say about Tarvent. I think they've got some excellent ideas in there, and they just need to spend some more time refining them, making everything super polished, easy to use, and beautiful. Make it so that as an average person, I can engage with this and do everything that they're offering. Make the landing page builder way better. Make it, just click a few buttons and you have a nice looking landing page where you can update those images and the text and make it your own. But overall, I was very impressed with the amount of original ideas that they actually included that were often working. That is very cool, and it's honestly going to save them when it comes to my score. I'm going to give Tarvent a 5.7 out of 10. If they fix the UI and just make this thing rock solid, reliable, and not give me that spinning wheel all the time, maybe cut down on some of the teaching features, the wizards, they're a little overbearing. Other than that, I think, you sit on this one for 2 or 3 years. If they can if they can smooth out those rough edges, it's going to be a really cool tool. It's just not quite there yet. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you want to see anything more inside of Tarvent, definitely let me know in the comments and I'll consider making a follow-up video. It's a big platform with a lot of different features, and unfortunately, I just couldn't include everything inside of one video. You can find me over at clientamp.com, by the way. I'm Dave Swift, and we've got an email newsletter over there, some premium courses, as well as the opportunity to work together to grow your online business. Links for everything in the description. Hit me up with a question if you have them, and I'll see you in the next review.